Maryland, a state on the eastern coast of the country bordering the nation's capital of Washington, D.C. The Maryland, D.C. area is the home to some of gospel music's most notable artists, from the legendary Richard Smallwood, Marette Brown Clark, Stephen Hurd, and the legendary Barrett sisters, just to name a few. Crossing over the Chesapeake Bay Bridge brings you to Maryland's eastern shore, to counties like Anne Arundel, Queen Anne, Dorchester, Wicomico, and a county called Somerset. What used to be an area overflowing with untapped, undiscovered talent is now evolving into its own, with the emergence of Eastern Shore artists gaining national exposure on nationally televised music shows such as The Voice, American Idol, and BET's Sunday Best. However, for talent to evolve, there must first be a place of origin.
Here in the Eastern Shore, I kind of have those moments where I think about what inspired us as young musicians coming up in the 80s, 90s. The Professor Charles Taylor's, Pastor Ben Van Zandt. You got to talk about the James Brumble. Those were the musicians that inspired, challenged us to become the musicians, artists that we've strived to become today. The Any Deal Singers ensemble, the ensemble that Bishop Weldon Johnson had. You go back into the James family. You got to go to like the Beanie Gospel Singers. Those were the groups and choirs that created the Eastern Shore, the sound that today we have learned to enjoy and appreciate.
And from the establishment of that sound emerges an artist who is the lineage of the aforementioned James family and the Johnsonettes of Somerset County, Maryland. Ray Charles Lockamy Jr., the son of Pastor Andre and Lady Gail Sykes, and Ray and Christina Lockamy.
Ray was born on October 22nd of 1989. It's kind of a cold day. He was 8 pounds, 9.5 ounces, a very big baby. Always smiling, always happy. He was very mischievous at times. He was very playful, a very intelligent little boy, and he brought a lot of joy into our lives. And when I say mischievous, that's an understatement. Little Ray was something else, and he loved music. And I can remember, as a child, he never really liked to sleep. Up until this day, he still doesn't sleep all night. And I remember there were times when I just needed him to take a nap, and I just needed him to go to sleep. So I would take him into the den, and I would turn on videos and music. And I loved the Clark sisters. I loved Mississippi Mass Choir, and I also loved Alita Adams. So I would turn on the video to Alita Adams, especially when I wanted him to take a nap, and I would play the song Get Here. And I noticed that Ray loved Alita Adams. It was like he was mesmerized by her voice. And when I would play that music, he would just stare at the TV, and his mouth was open, and then finally he would just go to sleep. And I was like, wow, he likes music.
With Mom honing in on cultivating Little Ray's budding musical gifts and talents, Dad focuses in on the task of guiding Little Ray into becoming a young man.
There was times where I would get up and go to work, and they had certain chores. And the funny thing about with Ray was he has an excellent sense of humor, and he loves to have people laugh. And him and his sisters around the house, they would do certain things. And there was on Saturday mornings when I get up and go to work, Ray would wait till I come back home to do the chores that he was supposed to do. But over the years, we have watched Ray grow, and once again, he is a good kid, and we expect nothing but the best for him.
While mom and dad are ultimately the first line of defense for any kid, Ray had a bonus protector in his older sister, Cherie. As with any sibling rivalry, and being the older sister, she could handle Ray. But if anyone else tried, they had serious trouble on their hands.
Ray and our story is uniquely interesting. He and I are about 7.5, 8 years apart, me being the older sister, but I've always called him my big little brother because he's taller than me. Growing up was interesting because Ray was a boy and he was bad. And one thing that mom always told us was, regardless of what happens, we stick together. We are all we have. And of course, because of sibling rivalry or siblings fighting, we fought a lot. Me being the oldest, thinking I could tell him what to do, and him being the youngest, being a male, being territorial, you know, that was normal. But something that mom instilled in us was us taking care of each other because we're family, and also not letting the sun go down on our wrath, meaning, okay, you can be mad at each other, but you're gonna get over it. You're gonna deal with each other. We're in this house together. So, you know, I am extremely protective over my brother. I think everyone knows that. He is the apple of my eye. And I think when I think back when it shifted for us as far as siblings fighting and things like that was as he got older, and I'll never forget it. One thing that mom did that saved our lives was they kept us in church, they kept us singing, and with that, being a part of the James family, we were always on the road on the weekends. So if we weren't in cars, if we weren't in vans, if we weren't on charter buses, we were in somebody's church, and we traveled a lot. And one of my fondest memories was being in Trenton, New Jersey. I think mom talked about this too, but Ray was singing, "I Will Always."
That Little Ray had with the song in Trenton, New Jersey would prove to be just the beginning of where his musical talents would go and who they would touch. From singing and playing with his legendary James family, playing in churches in his hometown, surrounding areas and communities, to collaborating with other musicians.
Working alongside my cousin Ray has been such a pleasure through the years. He is so gifted in so many areas. One thing that I love about him is how he operates in excellence, and he expects excellence out of everyone else. He will get the best out of you. I love working alongside him because musically we think alike, and we both love excellence. And he's so gifted, so talented. He's humorous, he's funny, but he gets the job done. One moment that sticks out with me about him and his talent is when I first started playing alongside him with the James family. And I saw how talented he was, how he just took me under his wing. And he easily adapts on the fly. He's so spontaneous. You just never know what he's gonna come up with and what he's gonna do musically, but it's always fun. And he's just so creative. He teaches everyone their harmony parts, and he gets all of the musicians straight, and believe me, he will get you together quick.
So music was always around him, and even when I would be in the car driving, he would be in his car seat. And I played the Clark Sisters and all kinds of music. And Ray knew every word to every song. Adoration and Praise, Clark Sisters, Mississippi Mass. He knew every word sitting in his car seat. So we were like, wow. And before that, when he was maybe about a year old, my mom would come over and sit with us. And one day she was in the kitchen and she had Little Ray on her lap and she was singing Jesus is a soul man to him. And we noticed that little Ray was clapping to the beat of Mom's voice, and he was in sync and in rhythm. And at 1 year old, we were like, Ray's got rhythm. So we were like, wow. And after that, you know, the music continued to play in our home and everything. And at one point, my Aunt Lula, decided to purchase him an acoustic guitar. And little Ray would play with it, he would play with it, he would play with it, and he would make sounds with it. So we thought, wow, he's gifted in that. My sister Patricia brought him a keyboard, and he immediately got on the keyboard and started tinkering at it. And we said, wow, Ray can play that. And my brother Pipsy purchased him a lead guitar, and he started tinkering with that. And we said, wow, Ray knows how to play that. So it's like he just had so many gifts, and we were amazed with the gifts that he had, because anything he put his hands to do, he did it effortlessly. So we would let him sing in the church choirs. He sang in school plays. He sang in the choir at school, and he did it effortlessly. He excelled in it. And at one point we were at church, and the song was being sung, Sacrifice His Life for My Liberty. And at this time, he was about maybe 4 or 5, and Ray started singing that song. He sang it word for word, and the church went crazy. People were shouting and rejoicing because his voice was so beautiful and clear. And then at one point we traveled to New Jersey, and we asked Little Ray to sing a solo, and he sang, I Will Always Give Your Name the Praise. And he started singing that song, and the anointing that was on his voice was amazing. And we knew then, he's got something really, really special.
Special indeed. And with an anointing so powerful, the support of his mom and dad, older sister, and a family that could rival the size of any mass choir in the country, Ray was destined for greatness. However, there was still one missing piece, and he found her and made her his wife.
There's a lot that I could say about my husband, but my favorite thing about him is his personality and his humor. He always keeps me laughing, always keeps me on top of myself and on top of him. I can't speak much of our early relationship. I was just a baby when his Aunt Sandra used to babysit my sister and I, so I don't remember, but according to his stories, he used to tease us and slam the doors in our face. I remember our next communication was around high school maybe. The James family came to sing at a church in Waldorf where we lived, and he says that I didn't speak to him, but I don't think that was the truth either. We didn't become friends on a real friendship level until I was in college. We became friends on Facebook, and he would check in on me from time to time, and we just started talking. There's no clear distinction from where our relationship was a friendship to an actual relationship, because he's always been the same person to me, always kind, generous, a true gentleman. One thing about him, he's very calculated and intentional about everything he does. So everything he said, everything he does, every gift he's given me, anything has always been for a reason. So all of those things culminated to a moment that made me realize that he's the person that I wanted to be with. He asked my dad to date me, so he called me and said, well, I already talked to your dad, so you have to say yes now. He plans everything out, and he's just so pure and genuine in everything that he does. I'm so proud of him, and no matter where life takes him, I promised him that I would always be beside him through everything, through anything, for everything. I just love him.
With all the pieces to his support system intact, the plan was set in motion for Ray to step into the studio and allow the world to see and hear what his family and the entire eastern region of the state of Maryland and surrounding areas have been knowing for years.
When Jay sent me the idea of doing I wasn't sure of the title. He sent me a reference track. I didn't really know much detail, but when he let me know that he and Tanisha had kind of custom made that song for me, and then he possibly suggested Tanisha being on the track with me, I was elated. First of all, the track is amazing, but her even wanting to be on the track with me as a writer, because I am a true fan of Tanisha Harris. Our families go way back, the James family and the Veenies, so I've always been obsessed with her voice. So I felt an honor that she actually wanted to sing on the track with me. It was a no-brainer. So initially getting the track, the reference track with just her vocals, I was speechless. I just wanted to sing in the background. I said, she can have the song because she is phenomenal. But actually going there, being in the studio with her, because she has a lot of studio experience, she made me very comfortable. The studio really isn't my thing. I'm more of a live singer. But she and Jay and Jess made me so comfortable. It was a phenomenal experience.
What can I say about Ray Lockamy Jr.? I have known Ray literally since he was born. His family and my family used to travel the Lower Eastern Shore and sing so many services and venues together that we became like family until one day I actually found out we were family. So that's a hidden treasure. I have been knowing Ray literally since he was a little boy, and watching him grow and sing and then become this musician that he has become has really been a treat to watch. And I knew early on that he would do something amazing because that's what he was destined for. Ray can sing you under the pews, over the pews, through the roof, back down again, in circles. It doesn't matter. Ray is a consummate musician and singer. His approach to everything is so authentic, is so genuine, is so him. And that's what I absolutely love about singing with him, watching him. He has sang with me, he has played with me. Whenever I needed him to show up, he has done that, and I'll forever be grateful for that. So I'm glad that the world gets to finally see what we have been knowing for a very long time, and that is that Ray is just simply amazing, and he's going to be a treat to this industry. I really believe that.
I grew up admiring the James family. Gail, her sisters, Lisa and Pat, her brothers, Pipsy and Reese were my musical heroes. Reese could slap a bass like nobody's business, and Pipsy was to the Eastern Shore what Jonathan Du Bois is to the gospel music industry at large when it comes down to the lead guitar. I mean, just phenomenally talented musicians, a phenomenally talented family. So Ray really didn't have much of a choice. He had to be musically inclined to be surrounded by that much talent in one family. They would sing at different aggregations and different functions and musicals throughout the Eastern Shore. And back in that day, I was young, so I was a drummer. And I just wanted to be in their presence. So again, a talented family. And Ray, coming up, basically pretty much falls right in line. His vocals are phenomenal. I remember my first time hearing him was at the homegoing service of a family member. And I asked my cousin, after the service, who was that kid? She was like, that's Gail's son. Like, wow. So I'm like, we really got to get this kid in the studio. So I came up with a song, and I'm like, let me see if Ray would be interested in doing this song. So I presented the song to him, and he's like, yeah, let's do it. So I'm like, okay, song's really not finished yet. Let me see if I can get someone to help me finish writing this song. So I called on my old friend, my sister, Tanisha Harris. Everybody knows Tanisha from her years of singing with her family, the Vini Gospel Singers all over the Lower Eastern Shore of Maryland. She and I grew up together, and she's gone on to do some really, really big things, with the biggest to date being her exposure and her success on NBC's hit vocal competition, The Voice. But she's always been talented. That's before The Voice ever emerged. She's always been a beast. And she's a phenomenal writer. So I called on her to help me finish writing this song, and I'm like, I wonder if she'd be interested in actually featuring on this song with Ray. So she agreed to do both. So the vocal craziness that's about to come from Ray Charles Lockamy and Tanisha Harris is absolutely out of this world.
I have been knowing Jay Harmon forever, literally all my life. We are like family, and I have worked with Jay's Pad Entertainment several times. And so now to get the call to write and sing on this project was an absolute blessing for me. Gospel has always been my niche, my go-to, my foundation, and I haven't written gospel music in quite a while. So being able to return to my roots and do this has been really amazing. It has been a reminder of who God is, not Not that I needed a reminder, but it's always good to be reminded of who he is, of his presence and his present help for us at all times. And that's what I appreciate about this song. The lyrics in this song, once we came together, we really started to talk about God being who he is and being a promise keeper. And if he said that he was going to do something or be something, surely enough he will show up and do it and be it for you. So I hope that when the listeners listen to this music, to this song in particular, that they will be reminded as well that God is a present help, that God is a friend, God is a mother, a father, a doctor, a lawyer. He is a healer. He is a miracle worker. He is still the same light that guides you. And he is the same God on the mountaintop as he is in the valley. And I want to be able to remind people of that. And I'm grateful that I get to be a part of this. And to Ray, I just want to say, keep going. The sky is not the limit. You get to set your own limits in this. And you are about to do some amazing things. And I am so very, very grateful that I get to be a part of the journey.
I told him, when this hits and goes on the road, I'm gonna need me a shirt that says security, and I need it to be blinged out, because that's who I'ma always be. I love my baby brother. He is everything to me, and we are closer than close. A lot of people say we are the Medea and the Joe of our area, but he, oh man, he means so much to me. I have watched this boy. I watched him grow from a child to a boy to a teen and to a man, and we are just so blessed that God is positioning him and putting the right people in his lives, not just for production purposes, but God has blessed him with an amazing wife. She was created for my brother, and I think this is the first time in my life I've not had to worry about him. Like, I don't worry about him because she takes such good care of him, and as his sister, I can step back and know that he's okay. I can step back and know that he is all right.
I said to my baby boy, I always said, your gift belongs to God. He's just letting you be a steward over what he's given you. Use it for the glory and honor of God. Be humble, walk in humility at all times, and God will do great things with your voice. And that's what he's done. And my sister said to him one day, his godmother Tricia, she said to me, Gail, I see Ray before thousands and thousands of people. This is when he was a little boy, and we knew that he had something special. And my sister's prophecy has come to pass. Ray's voice has blessed so many people all over, and he continues to walk in humility and honor. And he doesn't take the gift for granted. He cultivates the gift. He walks in humility, and he uses his gift for the glory of God. And I'm so thankful for that. So very thankful.
The entire behind the scenes process for this project has been absolutely phenomenal. As most of you may know, contrary to popular belief, I'm a very behind the scenes shy person. So having the support of JPE, my aunt Helena, her and my cousin Shelly, my sister Cherie, my mom, my dad, our catering staff, our event staff, they've made me so comfortable throughout this process. And next to God, my number one support person has been my lovely wife, Alicia. She's really been the one that's pushed me to do this. I remember the night that Jay called us when we were out shopping, and he presented the idea to me to do the expo, and then he said, what do you want to do afterwards? You want to do a record? And I tried to find 1,000 excuses in the world to tell him why I could not do this. And my wife was like, honey, you can do this. I'm like, no, I can't. I'm a behind the scenes person. I'm not like one that likes to be up front, but I prayed about it. I talked to God about it. I talked to my wife about it, and I talked to my mom about it, and they really were pushing me like, this is your chance. It might not come around again, so you just need to do it. And with our support and with the help of the Lord, you'll get through it. Like, have confidence in yourself. So I want to acknowledge my wife. My wife has really been my number one supporter, from giving cough drops, back rubs, to praying for me. I thank you.
Of course. We're just so grateful for everyone for their love, support, all their contributions, their prayers. You all have not only supported him, but me in supporting him, to be there, to keep us strong, to hold us up, and to give us encouragement along the way. So we thank you so much for everything, and we love you all so much.
With all the pieces in place, the stage was finally set for Ray's single debut success. Now it was time to call in the heavy hitters to ensure that it got done. With production, keyboard, and engineering duties handled by Jay Harmon, the musical giant Stephen Pender was called upon to grace the organ. Mark Walker of Will Downing, Layla Hathaway, and Richard Smallwood fame was called upon to handle the bass duties. Two amazing musicians out of Atlanta in Jamal Smith and Eric Johnson blazed the guitar and the drums respectively. And the secret sauce was added with Marvin Thompson, James Cheeks, and Thel John Allen of Mo Horns. And no song is complete without the graceful harmonies of backing vocals, with the vocal production task being entrusted to Roderick Giles and Grace. The conclusion of the matter being the finished product of Ray Charles Lockamy, You Are, featuring Tanisha Harris. Available March 10th on all digital platforms. Ray Charles Lockamy, You Are.